Good evening, and thank you for joining Local 5's first 5 p.m. here on WFRV Plus. I'm your host, Indiana Shills. Happy Friday to everyone tuning in. Hopefully, you got those weekend plans all sorted out, and if not, it's not too late. But we're getting close to party time on a Friday. So make sure you're getting those plans together. You know, I got my nice floral Friday shirt on just to keep the vibes high, the atmosphere good in the newsroom. Been a really fun day so far. A lot of CTV stuff going on, a lot of recording this morning and afternoon, but final show of the day, and then I get to head home for the weekend, and I'm pretty excited for that. Tonight we have our very special guest, a debut episode here. We are bringing in our news director, Joseph Joe Radske, right? Did I say it right?
You got it.
I got it. Oh, I hit the wrong microphone, though. Here we go. There we go.
You got it.
Oh,
Yes.
Perfect. So,
Yes.
Joe, it's a pleasure to have you on the show finally.
Pleasure to be here.
It's exciting.
I've heard all about this.
It's-
I've watched it. I've heard about it. It's the talk. It's the talk of the town.
It's the
as
talk
they
of the
say.
town, huh?
And to be a part of it is it's exhilarating.
Yeah, no, it's certainly a ton of fun, and I'm extremely grateful for the opportunity to be able to do this daily. And it's so much fun, and especially on Fridays. Fridays are pretty laid back when it comes to news for the most part. There's Fridays where it can be a little hectic, but the Fridays are usually a little more laid back, fun, end of the work week. Everybody's in a good mood for the most part. Vibes are high. So we have a little fun on the show for Fridays. We don't have a ton of stuff formally planned out. I do have some fun questions to ask you in a little bit, but we'll start off. So Joe, you started here. When did you start here?
June,
right?
got here in June,
And
just after the draft.
Yeah, right after the draft,
after
he
the
got
draft,
he got to be brought into a pretty nice situation here. I mean, you seem to get along with everyone well, and it's it's been a pleasure to have you here so far and making the shots, calling the shots here. What do you like about Local 5 so far? You know, I mean, have you been a news director before?
I have.
Okay.
I have. I had experience in Green Bay 30 odd years ago. I worked at WBAY with Tom Zalaski.
Yeah. Okay.
So I sat next to Tom, produced the 6 and 10 with him. Chuck Ramsey, who unfortunately lost a week or so ago, passed away from BAY, was just behind me. We were at the BAY building, which has been there forever.
Yeah.
In fact, the original home of the Vince Lombardi show back in the day, back in the 50s. But we were up in a classroom, basically. It's
Really?
a beautiful building downstairs now. Back in a classroom that was pretty close quarters, but we loved Green Bay. I grew up in Milwaukee,
Okay.
and Green Bay, obviously, big Packer fan. And so when the opportunity came up, so friends of mine, some other people at Local 5 also worked with me back in the day and said, "Hey, Joe, there's an opening at WFRV. You should go for it." So talked to a few people, talked to some recruiters, talked to my wife, who made the decision to say, "Yeah, I think we want to move to Green Bay." We were in Eau Claire.
Okay.
So we were just on the other side of the state.
Yeah.
So no, I mean, we love Green Bay, and FRV has always been a target. You know, it's the community station. I mean,
Yeah.
it is such a part of Green Bay and the Fox Valley and the Northeast Wisconsin, that it was just a pleasure to be able to come in and work with a team at this level. With back then we didn't have the digital.
Yeah,
people,
I'm sure digital and even
producers.
all the CTV stuff's all new for you, I'm sure.
It was a manual typewriter we worked on, and now, we almost blink and we can create scripts now. So no, it's a beautiful building. It's a beautiful place. Everybody is just, there's some. It's a great mix of veterans and new journalists, and everyone wants to learn. And through their learning, through the experience, we're gonna keep having fun and keep telling stories.
Yeah, that's what I'd say. I mean, the newsroom is always a good time. I love what I do. I feel like I don't even work, I mean, I come here and I have a great time with coworkers and stuff like that. It's always a positive vibe in here. Well, for the most part. Sometimes there could be bad days. That's news though. But
we do it together.
yes, we run through it together. And it's been a pleasure to have you here at Local 5 through the first 7 months ish. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm bad with math. So, but yeah, it's been great, and I'm glad you were able to take the opportunity here and move back to the Green Bay area, be able to hit up some of the old local spots that you enjoyed and stuff like that. What about any new pop-up places that you've been to recently?
Well, we went to it's a fish market.
Okay.
And they serve fish on paper plates.
Really?
Marquarts or no? I think I'm missing that.
Yeah. I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not just off of downtown. We went there last Friday for a fish fry. Love my fish fries. Love my perch.
Yeah.
And can't get perch a lot of places. Here, almost everybody has perch.
Yeah.
But yeah, we went there. Paper plates. It's a nice display and pieces, and that's what we found a place.
Good.
We found a place.
Good. Very good. Any fun weekend plans coming up here for you?
Nothing specific. Going to Neenah tonight to see a niece's daughter play hockey.
Oh,
she's
all
in
right.
high school, senior. Her team, the Capital City team out of Waunakee, has gone to state now the last 2 years.
Okay.
And they're playing a team down in Neenah. So we're gonna go down and watch that game.
Sure, that'll be fun.
Yeah.
You said you grew up in Milwaukee. Like in Milwaukee or like a suburb around there?
No, the city, north side of Milwaukee.
Okay.
So I went to city high schools. Grew up right on the north side.
I just say because I'm from Oak Creek, so I mean it's not super far, about 20 minutes away.
It's not like in Chicago. When you talk to people from Chicago, not to disparage anyone, but it seems like every time you ask somebody where they're from, and they say, "Oh, I'm from Chicago," and they're never from Chicago.
No, it's
they're always from a suburb that's an hour away or close by. But every now and then, but no, truly right down city kid. I don't know if you know the Bodines. It's a band out of Waukesha, but anyway, Kurt Newman, who is one of the Bodines and one of the leaders, grew up not far from me. And if you know the Violent Femmes, their bassist and I were in Cub Scouts together.
Oh, really?
So
pretty cool connection there. Now, you said back in the WBAY days, you got to work with Tom Zaleski before. Now you got him here as your lead anchor. What more is to say about Tom, a local legend and stuff like that in the Wisconsin Broadcasters Hall of Fame? How impactful is Tom for our newscasts?
I mean, he is integral in what we do because of the history, because of what he knows, because of how he learned it, and just working with him. The producers are better. The writing is better. I mean,
he makes everybody around him better.
He's a consummate journalist, and when anybody wants to know where that line is, to know, do we do this? Do we say this? How do we go about this? Tom's there for you. Yeah. And so it's been great to reunite with him and work with him
after all the years, huh?
Because I was 25 when I worked with him last, and now I'm not 25. But it's fun. We tell old stories. Like the other day, we were the 40th anniversary of the Challenger. The Challenger tragedy happened, and I think Tom and I, maybe one other person, were the only ones who were alive that happened. But it's one of those moments, just like 9/11.
Where you remember where you were. Yep. We talked about that with Emma and Blake, or Emma and, was it Blake? Emma and somebody was on the show.
Blake was in,
Yeah, one of them. We talked about, I was too young for 9/11. I was born in 99, so I was still, I was alive, but apparently I was watching Caillou with my father, and my late father, he worked for the FBI at the time, so he immediately got called into work. and my mom had to leave work, and then she had to take care of me. So that's the story here. But yeah, it's definitely a standstill moment in history where you just remember where you were and everything happened. And then you said you guys were together for that?
No,
Okay.
no. I was in Milwaukee, I think at the time, and he was at BAY.
Okay.
He was at
Yeah.
BAY with
I mean,
yeah.
news like that, especially how it was broadcasted all over the United States, because, Christy McAuliffe, the teacher who was on board during that program, she was going to be the first teacher in space and stuff like that. So classrooms worldwide, nationwide, were watching that. And unfortunately, stuff like that happens, but that's live TV, and you can't ever predict anything like that to happen. Kind of, if something were to happen like that now, how do we go about that? Do you just cut to black? I mean, I guess you'd probably have to report on it still.
Yeah, I mean, then when it happened, it was live.
Right.
Everybody had it live, but at the time there were 3 options for news. It was ABC, NBC, CBS, and then PBS.
Yeah.
Too had their news hour. So it wasn't the collection of 24-hour news that it would be they'd be on forever. Now the network stayed on for a long time because at first, just this surprise of what happened.
Right.
How does that happen? And going to the correspondents on the ground, watching it, and saying what are you hearing? What could have occurred here? But I think there's these days, if something happens to that level, obviously everybody goes within, stays with it. We all have a network that would cover it for us. But people will move away and go to their 24-hour news and watch all of that. And so I wouldn't say it's competition, but it's not the only source.
Right.
Back in that day, I mean, I'm going to sound really old saying that, you sat down at dinner and you turned on Walter Cronkite at 5 o'clock or 5:30, and that was the only news you had for the day, unless you changed to another station. You didn't. I mean, you got
you got so many things now.
You got newspapers. The newspaper in Milwaukee, there was the Sentinel in the morning and the Journal at night. Like in Minneapolis, there was a Star and the Tribune, and you would have those brought to your front door, and the radio and things like that. But I mean, the whole world of journalism, the whole world of covering those things has exploded.
Oh yeah, because now you've got stuff tailored to specific categories. I mean, just for example, you got ESPN that's focused on sports. You got Fox News or something like that that's focused on political stuff, and then you got your local news, which is Local 5, a little bit of everything. So it definitely, news has changed throughout the years and stuff like that. And real quickly, back to the Challenger point, that's kind of one of the more interesting things in news is breaking news and stuff like that, and getting on the scene. That's honestly one of my favorite things is when stuff does break, we send a reporter there, and then just the communication is super key between reporter, producers, digital now. Being in that loop, it really helps everybody get the news out in a timely manner and then be able to go from there. So we're going to take our first commercial break. When we come back, Joe and I will continue talking about the old days, the good times, the golden age of Mr. Radske here. So stay with us, guys. We'll be back in just 1 minute. Welcome back to Local 5's first 5 p.m. here on WFRV Plus. Hope you're having a great Friday so far. Joined by news director Joe Radske. Now, unfortunately, we had a little bit of a mishap, which tends to happen in the news from time to time. My brake button decided not to work, so I had to manually hit the brake. So if you saw a little bit of black there, apologies for the technical issues. We'll get that fixed by Monday. Now, Joe, let's see. Where else can we go from here? Let's talk about some of the projects coming up here. We've been working on America 250. What's the main idea behind that? Obviously, it's the 250th anniversary. What can people start expecting to see more and more on our newscasts?
Well, our handle is Spirit of America.
Yes.
Celebrate 250, and every Wednesday, at least every Wednesday, in our 4 o'clock news and our 10 o'clock news, and then the next morning at 6 a.m. we'll have a specific piece that honors, that recognizes, that talks about what, the history of our country, the history of Green Bay, the history of the Fox Valley, the history of northeastern Wisconsin, and all of our, from our digital to our on air to our sports to our weather, will all be contributing that.
Right.
And as we get closer to July 4th, the birthday, it'll crank up even more. There'll be more opportunities. And of course, the culmination will be on July 4th when we're at 4 different locations with fireworks on Saturday night. And on Friday, there's a Nexstar, our ownership group, will have a special from the country of fireworks all across the country. But it's a great opportunity. In fact, our assignment editor, Ed, is such a history buff that he is just jibing about this.
He's so fun to talk with. And once you get him going, it's just everything, he's telling stories all of a sudden. I love Ed. He's so fun to talk with every day. And
I think he's got 250 ideas already.
That's that
he's got planned out.
I guess that's a positive to have as your assignment manager. So yeah, Ed's good stuff. And moving on to, we're doing a little bit of a different approach to a series that we had before. So the Dish on Wisconsin Supper Clubs is now being rebranded just to The Dish. Now we're highlighting local restaurants. What can you say a little bit more about the plan for The Dish now?
Actually, I have breaking news on that.
Oh,
because it is now going to be marketed and presented as The Dish on Wisconsin.
Okay.
So we want to keep The Dish. We want to talk about Wisconsin. And yes, we'll be at restaurants, but we're going to open it up. It's going to be, we're going to ask the viewers, what do you want to know about? Is there a building? Is there something happening, something that is traditional that you wonder, how did that happen?
Yeah.
How did that get there? Why is this name on a floor? Why is, who was Resch? Things like that. So it's going to open up from just places to consume food and beverage to what's the dish.
Well, there you go. Yeah, that'll be really interesting to kind of shift the series into a little bit of a different direction while still keeping some of the main points. I know The Dish on Wisconsin Supper Clubs was pretty popular and stuff like that, and being able to go to all these supper clubs and just hear the stories that the owners had, how it's been either just recently bought and they're trying to start a new chapter, or passed down through families and stuff like that. They're all really good, interesting stories. And now opening it up to buildings and whatnot, that only adds more potential to the series. So that is another exciting thing. Breaking news from Joe.
Yeah. And I think if anybody from this area, everybody knows Kroll's, right?
Yeah.
So our first piece is going to be on Kroll's West.
Yes.
A little history, a little look back,
Absolutely.
talk to the owners.
Iconic place.
Yeah, iconic. Yeah.
Staple
exactly.
for Packers game days and whatnot. Yeah. So, and then next thing I have, let's talk a little bit about CTV. What we are on right now, this WFRV Plus platform, it has really opened opportunities for multiple people. I mean, myself included. I do plenty of stuff with CTV now. Where, how do you think the CTV thing is going to start off? Because we started in July, which is pretty early into your time here at WFRV. How do you think it's grown so far?
Well, I think it is where people will seek information and seek entertainment, because even myself, I have to question sometimes, do I go with satellite? Do I go with cable? Or do I try streaming? And I think most people do a little bit of a combination of both, or not of all three, but at least of a couple. And it's I think people are getting, some people are better at it, some people are more used to it.
Yeah.
And I think what we're offering to them, I think we've got so many offerings to them that they just need to get in and watch it. They need to get in and see what we have. I love, that we kind of open it up. And we have, how many opportunities do we have? We talk about NASCAR. We talk about playing cards. We talk about, Doug Gottlieb comes in here and does a segment. Your segment is is very unique. Nobody's doing this. No, really, nobody is doing this where it's a look at what is going on and a look kind of behind. And next Monday, we're going to debut on the air at 3:30, Stacy Engebretson
for Off the Desk. Yep.
Off the Desk. And it's really an interesting, I mean, we weren't sure where it was going, but she is such a unique personality too. And such a, you talk about Tom and his background and experience. She's equal to him.
Yeah, no, she's great. And I've been in here multiple times on the show. I kind of give a digital report just right at the end real quick. And Stacey and I always find a way to have a little bit of fun in it. And so it's like, it's very news professional, but also with a side of fun and personality. And I think that is one big thing about CTV is you're able to, I can be a little more laid back. I don't have to be in a suit sitting at a desk reading off a prompter where we can just talk like me and you are right now, flying by the seat of our pants. So we're going to hit our final commercial break. When we come back, Joe and I will finish up talking about CTV, and then we will send you over to Local 5 News at 6, get you ready for the weekend. We'll be back in just 1 minute, guys. Stay tuned. Welcome back to Local 5's First 5 p.m. here on WFRV Plus. I am Indiana Shills, joined by News Director Joe Radske. Appreciate you taking the time again for being on the show. It is your very first time, the debut of the man Joe himself. It's great to have you, and good stories so far, and it's only going to get better with these last couple minutes we got before we send everyone over to Local 5 News at 6, which you guys can catch here on WFRV Plus as soon as my show has ended. So we'll stick with the CTV aspect. We're saying how there's a very, very distinct, there's the professional show. So this one, it's a little more professional. It's news-esque. Stacy's is a little more professional. But then you get into the things like WFRV Cardboard Club, the Near Fall, Inside the Garage. These are very niche markets. But I think one of the cool things is you're getting to see more of Local 5 show off their true colors. And that's something people are very passionate about. I know Blake and I, we absolutely love recording NASCAR because him and I are huge NASCAR buffs. So when we get in here, we got our 30 minutes of the limelight, and we can really kind of nerd out, quote unquote, about NASCAR. How does that impact the programming, you think, having a bigger interest in that to put on a better show?
Well, I think there's something for everyone. You may not have great interest in some of the things, but there's always something in it. There's always a moment. There's always something you'll learn from it. So it's, one example is that, you have streaming, you're streaming FRV Plus, and people want local. They want local news. They want local information. And, I dare say that people will come to FRV Plus. They leave it in their living room, leave it in their kitchen, and just leave it on.
Even if it's just background noise, it's something to listen to, right?
Right, because you're going to get at some point weather, which one of my favorite shows is the 1:30
Storm T5. Ryan, Nathan, and Luke, and Jordan, they're great.
It is. I mean, it is so unique in how they. I mean, I'll just tease it and say that watch it and you'll get if you like Family Feud, watch it.
Yeah, they do a lot of really fun segments on there, and sometimes I wish I did a little bit more of that, but I do enjoy kind of the podcast back and forth, bouncing off each other. But they are very creative with the way they do their show and stuff like that. But also, it gives people here an opportunity that not everybody you see on TV a chance to express their passions and stuff like that. Sure. So Devin Willems, our digital content director, he hosts the Near Fall. He's not on TV, but he's on CTV quite frequently for that show. Same with Nick and Ben over in digital. They join him on the show. So it's really a very interesting thing to be able to show how passionate people are at these topics. And then not only if you miss them on WFRV Plus, you can still go ahead and back to our YouTube page and watch them in the past. So that's a pretty cool thing. And then one other big thing about CTV that I really have gotten into more and more lately is being able to do just Zoom interviews with people. So I've done a couple. I've done one with Jared Payton over at WGN we talked about before. A little preview of that Bears and Packers rivalry and the playoff game. I've gotten to speak to Natalie Decker, who is now going to be racing at Daytona this year in the NASCAR O'Reilly Auto Parts Series. I've gotten to talk to WLAX about the Dodgers Brewers Series. So there's so much you can do with CTV, especially with Zoom being able to bring more and more people in, not just from the station, but virtually.
Well, the reason to leave it on, put it on and leave it on, goes back to what you talked about, breaking news. We haven't had a huge breaking news event, but when we had the docking down in Manitowoc of the ship, we carried that live.
Yeah, I mean, stuff like that. The parade we carry live on CTV.
The Packers leaving.
Micah Parsons arriving.
Yeah.
And that was all carried on CTV. And that's just another way that while there's a newscast going on, if you are more interested in, say, this Micah Parsons thing, you can go ahead and watch the full thing right here on CTV.
Well, it's immediacy too.
Yeah.
The immediacy, because all we have to do is walk in, turn it on, and we can tell everybody what's happening. It could be stay away from this area because there's a police action or there's a huge accident, or it could be really good news. Hey, guess what? We've got Goody for 3 more years. We've got LaFleur for 3 more years, and just it's the immediacy, and people want that because people are not sitting down. Appointment TV has left for the most part outside of live sports.
Right.
Because you can't,
that's
imagine
harder.
you probably tried it where you say, I don't want to know who won.
Yeah, it's
don't
impossible.
Tell me.
It is impossible.
But your phone's going to buzz.
Your friends, your phone. There's no way you can avoid
live
it.
TV is that's one way. But this is a way to get information immediately to people that either for their safety, weather, or just that it's something cool happening.
Yeah, absolutely. So, well, guys, unfortunately, we're already out of time. That's all the time we got for Joe. I want to thank you for debuting on First 5 p.m. It's been a pleasure. I mean, I had a really good time on the episode and look forward to having you back on sometime. Enjoy the trip down to Neenah tonight. Best of luck to the hockey player, and hopefully they can go ahead and bring home a victory for you. But until then, guys, I hope you all have a fantastic weekend. Local 5 News at 6 follows this. We'll see you on Monday.